bird. Pretty bird, traveled far, far from the land it sees, seeking sun and a place to be now. Pretty bird sings a song to the one it calls. Pretty bird, pretty bird. Pretty bird, perched on a tree, come down and sing to me. Tell me tales of happy times, don't let anything worry me. Pretty bird, pretty bird, pretty bird.
Hello, and welcome to the second installment of How to Make Music podcast. Today's question is: have you ever thought or wanted to start playing guitar for any reason? And our title is: how long does it take to learn guitar? How long does it take? You hear, oh, I'm not sure, maybe I'm not sure if I want to start, because I'm not sure what I'm getting myself in for. So today you'll find out the answer to that particular question. The music you heard in the introduction is named Pretty Bird. It's a single I released in November 2020. So I'm your host, Fabiao Lopez Rodriguez. You can find that single available on iTunes, Amazon, Spotify, and all the platforms where you would usually listen to your music. Right, so let's get started. How long does it take to learn guitar? This is one of the most asked questions that we come across when we start playing an instrument, or when we sort of interacting with people who are beginning, or maybe we have somebody we know, a family member, a younger sibling, and they want to start, and we want to give them a little bit of encouragement. So you can refer them to this podcast, or you can take some notes yourself, and we'll go from there. Playing guitar is one of the most creative endeavors as a hobby that you can pursue. And to help answer the question of how long does it take to learn guitar, there's a few questions that I'd like you to consider. You may ask yourself this question. So the first question would be, what genre are you interested in? So the reason I say this is there are so many genres. I mean, that goes without even asking. So many genres, and which one connects with you? And the reason I ask this question is because it's when we set off in a journey, not in just in music or just guitar, um, just in general in life, it's always good to know, have a vision for what we want to achieve. This is so we know what we are aiming for and what we can expect. So then we know, okay, did I get that goal or did I not? How can I adjust? How can I improve? Is this taking too long? How can I troubleshoot this? And do bear in mind your interest will change as you play guitar. You'll get into one genre and then you'll find out, oh, I actually like a little bit of that. So it's an ever changing evolution you're playing. Okay, so let's say you've decided what genre it is that you want to go for, whether it's pop, rock, metal, blues, jazz, or any other subgenre of these. And as we are talking about the guitar, so I would say, so this is my opinion, and obviously there's got to be a disclaimer, uh, because everyone's different. We all learn at different paces, depending on what we know already when we start something, um, or just how we take information. Some learn faster, some take a little bit more time, and there are different methods of learning. Some people are more visual, some people like to read, some people like to listen and copy. So that also will affect how long you can learn any given task. But there are some things when learning guitar that are applicable to all the genres, and these are what I call the fundamentals of playing guitar. And what are these fundamentals, you ask? Well, these fundamentals are things like chords, scales, and arpeggios. Once we learn our chords, scales, and arpeggios, this gives us the tools to then develop our craft, develop our skills into playing any genre that we want to. We can make our own music, we can copy other people's music, we can play with other musicians, we can teach other people. And in a more fundamental level, at a core level, learning these fundamentals, I'm sure there are others that I'm sure I've missed. It's a way of us expressing ourselves. So we all speak in a particular way. We all are our own selves. So if you want to say something the particular way that you would say it, you need to have the tools to be able to speak that language. And you do that by learning the fundamentals. I thought it would be helpful if I sort of, from the outset, give you a little bit of an idea of why it's specifically important to learn each one of these fundamentals. So the first one, chords. Chords are useful if you want to learn to play and sing at the same time, because it's a way of you accompanying yourself. You're playing the background music, basically, as you sing on top, or you can play the guitar, you play the chords as somebody else is singing. Chords can also be useful if you if you play electric guitar and you have a loop pedal and you can play the chords, record them sort of in a vamp, and solo on top. And again, another caveat, this is not an exhaustive list or explanation of all the things that you can do with chords. I'm sure you can find your own way of using them. This is just something for you to listen to and then go ahead, get ideas, and explore it in your own time. So this is something to think about. And then we come to scales. Why are scales important? Scales are actually very important, and I am now giving you a little bit of my perspective. When I started playing guitar, I would just practice scales up and down. I started with a minor pentatonic scale in A minor, which is what most people do, and I just practiced it up and down in all the positions. And that is very helpful in several ways. One of the ways it's helpful is it helps your coordination, especially if you practice down up picking. I know this might be going over some people's heads, but don't worry, stick with me. Yes, it's a very good way also of learning the fretboard and learning the notes of the fretboard. If you practice your scales, that is definitely a way. So if you want to play an A note, you'll be able to find that, whether it's on the 5th fret, 7th fret, 12th fret, 2nd fret. You'll get to learn all these by playing your scales. The other way scales are useful is if you want to do guitar solos. If you want to play guitar solos, you need to learn what scales go with each chord progression that you will encounter. So yes, you would need to learn your scales. This is one of the fundamentals. The other fundamental are arpeggios. Now these are very often overlooked in our practice routines. They're not very stressed. But arpeggios are very important to actually learning our keys. Keys. So key center. Are you in a major key? Are you in a minor key? And it helps you understand the tonalities better. It also helps you understand how to navigate the fretboard, how to find notes easier. So arpeggios are basically notes of chords. Chords are 2 or more notes put together, and arpeggios are the notes of the chords. Great. So now I thought I'd give you some time to digest that information, and we'll play some more music. This track coming up is called When You Were Young. It's one of my very popular tracks.
So it is your own, so it is you've been there, and the memories you hold, and the tales you were told of how life would unfold when you were young, when you were young. So you were young, and that innocence you had, and the fashion you wore, was it all but a fad? And that rule book you tore, and that oath that you swore, when you were young, when you were young. So you were young, and that innocence you had, and the fashion you wore, was it all but a fad? And that rule book you tore, and that oath that you swore, when you were young, when you were young. So it is your own, and that time as before, and that innocence is no more.
So that was when you were young. It was part of my first EP release, not that long ago now. And yeah, if you like that, do go and listen to it and share it with your friends. That would be really good for me, and you as well. The next thing to consider when learning to play guitar, is music theory. Now, why do we learn music theory? Music theory can sometimes be seen as something really difficult to grasp, and some people think, oh, I could never learn music theory. But music theory, in layman's terms, is basically just a way of you understanding how music works, so that you can do something that you want to do. Whether you want to sing, whether you want to do guitar solos, whether you want to copy music, it's just a way of understanding what you're doing, understanding the rules. So if you do want to break them, at least you know what you're doing, so it's not complete chaos. But the good thing about music theory is you can take it as far as you want to take it, or you can keep it as basic as you want to take it. From the way I use it, I only learn the music theory that helps me do what I want to do, because that's how it's supposed to be. You use it for something that you need. If you don't need to learn it, then don't learn it. You can make it as easy as you want or as difficult as you want. But it all depends on our goals. What are you trying to achieve? Now, here are some specific things that music theory helps us understand. One of the things music theory helps us understand is when we come to find the key for a song. Is it in C major? Is it in A minor? Is it in G major? Is it in E minor? Is it a major key? Does it sound happy? Is it in a minor key? Or in another instance is, as we said before, if you're going to do a guitar solo and you have some backing chords, a backing track, what scales will sound nice or will sound pleasant to the ear over those particular chords? Another point would be, if you're writing your own music, which I think, since guitar is a very creative endeavor, a creative hobby, I think at some point we all probably think about writing our own songs, even if we don't want to release them professionally, just for our own sense of achievement or sharing with our loved ones. Having an understanding of what chords go together is something that we can achieve with music theory, and this would help us write our own music. Also, if we want to increase our music vocabulary, learn how to play like our favorite guitar players, whether it's Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Ray Vaughan, Slash from Guns N' Roses, whoever your guitar hero is, Zakk Wylde, just a few that I mentioned here. And this goes for other genres as well, whether it's Prince, all genres of music. At some point, if you want to play like your so-called guitar heroes, you might want to copy or transcribe their passages, their licks, and understanding music theory is something that will help you to do that. Another thing to consider when learning to play guitar is a little bit something something that you need to get used to is, and it can also be sort of comforting, and it can be sort of almost like an encouragement, is we need to develop our muscle memory. And the way that we develop our muscle memory is by practicing something repeatedly. And please trust, if you do not give up, if you keep going, eventually the muscle memory will be there, and you will not have to think about it, and your chord changes will be faster, your scale runs will be faster, your singing will be better while you play and accompany yourself. We are edging ever closer to finding out how long does it take to learn to play guitar. Not long to go now. The final thing to consider is something which is obviously the elephant in the room. If we want to learn something, we need to practice. And what does practice mean? Actually doing the thing. Oh, but how am I going to do it if I don't know how to do it? You just do it. And then eventually, you answer yourself all the questions, all the hows will come to you. So yes, we need to develop our practice habits. So I would say, in the beginning of learning guitar, a 10-minute session would be very, very good. Now, how many 10-minute sessions can you fit? I would say start cautiously, or, take your time. Don't put yourself under pressure. I would say if you can practice for 10 minutes, obviously we have our lives, we have school, we have work, we have family. So if you can fit it around your tasks, maybe fit it around something that you like to do. If you like to watch a television show, you can say, I'll practice for 10 minutes before I watch the show, and then you'll have the show as a reward. So when we beginning to play guitar, we start with a particular time that we practice, and as we get more experience, as we have more experience in playing, and it's not so frustrating, then we can slowly start to increase our practice sessions. But I would say, on average, a good length for a practice session, if you're practicing a specific thing, I would say it's anywhere from 15 minutes to 25 minutes. I think 25 minutes is around the maximum for the optimal concentration, the optimal focus that you'll have in a practice session. And obviously you don't want to exhaust yourself. So I think 25 minutes is a good amount to aim for. And now we have come to answering the question: how long does it take to play guitar? So if you're learning, so let's say if you're taking lessons from one of your local guitar teachers, I would say on day one, you should be able to play a melody or a riff from a rock song. That is something that you can do from day one. Definitely. So to play a melody or a rock riff, a riff is basically a repeating musical phrase that sounds, very pleasant to the ear. You can learn that in one day. And then obviously you can take some time to practice it and get it perfect. But you can have, in a way, a lot of satisfaction from day one. To learn to play chords, I would say some chords are easier to play, and some chords can prove a little bit more challenging. You have open position chords, you have so-called jazz chords, and you have power chords, I would say. But then also you need to learn how to change from one chord to another chord. I would say to actually learn the chord shapes, anywhere from 3 weeks. Actually can be quicker than that, but I don't want to suggest something which you'll think, maybe that's not quite right. But this is just sort of on average. Depending on how much you practice, you might be faster, or, this is just a guideline. To play chords, I would say from 3 weeks to 2 months. And I say 2 months, 2 to 3 months, because it's learning the chord shapes and actually learning to change from chord to chord. Let's say changing from G major to D major to A minor to C major to D major back to G major. Things like this, or these chord changes. That's what really takes a little bit of time. And obviously, it's you getting the muscle memory, like we mentioned before, so that you can do it almost instinctively. So to play chords and transition from them, anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. If you have a little bit of a rock streak in you, which a lot of us do, I know. If you want to play guitar solos, I would say guitar solos is actually quite a tricky thing, because it can be a short passage, and these guitar solos in songs, they usually last around approximately 30 seconds. And it's funny, because we as guitarists, we practice a guitar solo for ages, and we don't practice the chords, but we practice the 30-second bit of music longer than we practice the whole song. So here's why maybe we should practice having a little bit more of a balance between practicing guitar solos and practicing the chords as well. Because when you practice the chords, you actually learn how to play the song. So I would say, depending on the challenge of the guitar solo, and even considering that you're a beginner guitarist, I would say to play a guitar solo anywhere, it can take 3 months, it can take 5 months, or it can take 6 months. I would say in 6 months you should be able to play your selected guitar solo if you practiced it from not knowing anything. Now, how long does it take to get good on guitar? My answer to that question, it's my honest opinion that within 3 years you can be a good guitarist. If you practiced every week, I'm not going to say every week, because life happens. Like I say, life happens. But if you kept to your practice routine, and you practiced diligently, in 3 years you'll be a good guitarist. In 3 years you'll definitely be a good guitarist. Well, there you go. I hope I have answered your burning questions, and now you know it takes 3 years to become a good guitarist. And we've now come to the end of our show, and I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. I'm so happy that we've made it to the second episode. Thank you so much for all the likes on mainly Instagram that I've been posting lately. Been doing lots of covers. And stick around. If you're new to this, my page on Instagram is at Fabiao Music, spelled FABIAO Music altogether. And I make posts daily. Sometimes I do live shows as well. Yeah, and so hopefully share it with your friends, and I will see you next time. Take good care, guys and girls. All the best. Bye.